So what we have here is fleet server setup and just 2 agents enrolled. The kick is going to be my own machine, and you can see it uses 1% CPU because I think this one has 32 gigs of RAM. And I've also got a virtual machine, which is going to be this Windows machine, where it's using up 8% of the RAM, as I only gave it 8% or 8 gigabytes of RAM. If you click on this, you can actually see the metrics from this agent. This is how it's supposed to go, right? You can see the latency, all kinds of cool stats, which you can take away from this. I just enrolled this like 4 minutes ago, so there's not much data. But you can look into this, and for example, if you wanted to see more, you could zoom in. It just has to load for a second, but then it shows you only this part. And there's really not enough data, so it's not really clear what's happening, but you can always just clear out, for example, I don't know, today, right? So you would get a really tiny window because not much has happened. What we can also see in overview is our other agents. So we've got 2 Linux boxes and 2 Windows. Why it says 2? It's actually because I did set my other Linux virtual machine, which you can see is down. So we've got the fleet server, which is a Linux one, and Kali, which is done. Now, if I were to, for example, look at my PC, you can only see that I have this integration, the system integration, which is not a whole lot because this is literally the only thing I can see. Just the uptime, at least this is the time I installed it, so it's not that long ago, right? And all these different throttles, for example. Now, what I want to do is I actually want to replace, or I want to go to my policy and go to endpoints, as this is the sort of the system where I can add endpoints or integrations to all the machines that it's connected to. So if I now go here and select defend, I can actually select elastic defend. Let's just call it elastic defend. Doesn't really matter, right? And here we can choose what kind if we want, because of course we always have a Windows, like Windows Defender, which comes with the Windows installation. But I actually want to replace my Windows antivirus with one from Elastic, because we can really change a whole lot of things, right? So I'm just going to click on add integration. It's going to add it. It's going to take a while because it has to configure it and it has to install it on all the endpoints. So this could take up a bit of processing power for the server as well. So you can see it's just loading. I hope it's going to load just fine without any errors, and there we go. So now we can see it's actually loaded. If we can click on it and you can just see the settings we can set for this operation. So you can, for example, set a trusted application. Really helpful if you, for example, have a certain hash value, and you can go, for example, to, well, we're going to do it with malware, okay? So I'm going to copy this malware bit. And what we're going to do, motion rotation. What are these tests? Okay, so what I'm going to do, I just want to copy this this hash file. So the malware is entered for this one hash. That's what I want to copy. You can actually see it here. So you can see it's a hash. So MD5, SHA-1 or SHA-256. So we can select anything really. So I'm just going to select the SHA-256 application. And we're going to say, right, this one is allowed actually, because this malware for some reason is actually a normal program, which you're allowed to run. So it's going to say this is the malware bazaar sample. Sample malware, don't worry. You actually should worry because it's real malware, just so you know. So add trusted application. Right, so this one is not trusted, and it's possible for Defender to sort of stop it right now, or sorry, Elastic Defend to stop it. But what's happening is if we were to be a malware developer, and you know malware or antivirus is looking for a certain hash, you can actually change the hash, because the hash is made up of like the whole file compressed together and taken it out as a certain hash value. If you only change a bit, like I don't know, a value inside of the code, the hash is already going to be different. So you have this mutating malware samples, which static analysis is not going to work on, because that's just looking at the hash value, for example. So we can look at dashboard. You can actually see a lot of cool things that have already been made for us. For example, the syslogs, SSH login attempts, and this one is actually always pretty cool to see, because most of the time people do try to log into the box itself, but as of right now, nothing. So what I found really cool, if we go into Mitre, you can actually see a Mitre framework. Mitre, I think you have to say. And you can, for example, see where you're really leading or falling behind in rules. For example, if you were to do some content injection, you can see we have nothing enabled. So you can actually go to the Mitre framework and see what, why you might want to look into this. Because if you have different policies, you can, for example, do certain things for developers, because they are allowed to run Visual Studio and Python programs, but they should not be allowed to, go into the Azure Active Directory. So you can just turn those off, like acquire access or whatever. Well, in the alerts tab, you can see all the alerts that have been generated. As of right now, it just started. Nothing has been generated yet. So we're going to go to and see if we can actually, configure this in a way. Because now my computer has outdated policy. Why is that? The agent isn't synced to the latest policy revision. Check its connection to the fleet server. Why are you not... This one is not really loading up. Can I do something about it? Upgrade agents. I have no idea. I'm going to check back on you in a second. All right, it took me a long while to figure this out, and I realized that I'm not really well prepared for this video, I guess. But what I've done, I've just created, this is the Mitre attack framework. And what you can see here, this one is green because I actually set my own rule to reflect it back here, which is pretty cool. Because if I go to rules, to my detection rules, you can see I have two rules here. I created two, and it's just to try it, right? That the calculator has been opened, which I think is a pretty valid rule. Now, what I want to do is, if there's malware being opened, I also want it to, alert me. So Elastic Endgame, whatever. I'm going to enable these. So select all 12 rules, and I'm just going to do, where is enable? Book action, enable. I'm just going to enable these. And this is going to take a while to, get active onto the fleet. Because what happens here is, if you see, my machines are healthy, but these changes are made. I think it can take up to 5 minutes before they actually sort of run, I guess, sort of. So what I'll do, I'll just go to alerts. And you can actually see that 2 alerts have been generated. And I can actually show this when I go to my other window. If I just open up the calculator, just once, twice. And this is an Explorer. I can also go here, for example, to calc.exe. And I can also go to PowerShell and do calc. I think I can do calc. There we go, calc. Right, so we should have created these alerts. And I'll just go back to my Elastic. If I refresh this, we sadly don't get any new alerts. Wait, maybe it just takes a while. I'm gonna go over how the rules work, because I'm not that good with these rules. But what I do know is, where's my, oh, it was still marble. Okay, wait. Calculator. All right, cool. So I'm just going to go to this rule, which I can actually run manually, which I'll do now. So manual run. And I want it to log from, yeah, that's fine. Every time frame. Because it logs everything, right? It's just alerting. I didn't set it to block me. But what you can see here is the overview of where it's looking into. So it's saying literally, if it's start and the process is calc.exe, you have to, warn me. And you can also do a lot of different options here, because what you also can do, you can see when it was run. So it was a couple of minutes ago. But I'm expecting more here, but I'm not sure why. It's not showing me those things. But you can see, maybe this is not set correctly now. And this one was, I'm just going to do yesterday, right? Just to have everything. Okay, there we go. So now we can zoom in and you can see the different alerts being generated. So it does take a couple of seconds, but it's just checking, right? And we actually opened it via PowerShell as well one time, so you can actually see it. So what you can do, you can enlarge it, you can see what happened. So this user opened calc, right? How did it happen? Oh, okay, he opened Explorer, PowerShell, calc.exe. Really cool. And you can actually also go to, I think this is the rule itself, or to the warning that it happened. And you can also click, for example, on the boxes. So you can say analyze event. This one was just started, or sorry, it was terminated, right? Nothing special happened. But if we now go to the PowerShell one and we click on it, we can see we opened up PowerShell.exe and then we started calc.exe. And PowerShell was open for 21 minutes. Is that what it is? And it opened these. I'm really not sure, but you can do so much cool stuff with this. But I'm still really not sure yet on what IP address did this, I guess. I'm not even really sure what you can all do with this. But if we now go to alerts tab, we can see we have 6 alerts, so something definitely needs to happen. But what I can also do, for example, I can say, I'm working on this one. It was just an admin changing something, right? Something like this. And now if I just update this, I can also take action. So I can, for example, block, I think it is, or yeah, I can make a case. So if there's like a big case going on, or I can add it to a timeline. So I can collect different samples, for example, from the IP address, which I found in an index, or maybe the alerts which have been generated. I can combine them and just have an easy overview. So now you can see there's someone working on this. And we can just, choose what we want to do with this, and also what the response was. So I can say nothing has been taken yet, but you can do these things. So really, really cool stuff that's been going on here. Now, actually, what I want to do, I have started these malware samples, right? So what I've done, if you go to detection rules, I have enabled 12 rules, it is right? So 12 rules. About 14 maybe. I don't know. 14 rules. And what would happen if I were now to start malware? I should at least get something which is like, all right, malware has been executed. So one of these rules should look for malware, but I'm not really sure. So let's look into what this is looking for. So it just looks for malware endgame. Not really sure. Actually, not really sure. Right, but you can have all these rules, and here is actually some rules which have been sort of preset, pre-made for you. So for example, if you have a AWS, I guess you can work with this one, or if you've got something else like the, PowerShell obfuscation via invalid escape sequences, you can get import this rule. I'm really just getting started, but it's just so cool, because if we now actually go to our dashboard, and then we go, go to here, to Mitre tech coverage, we can actually see we have some greens here, because we just enabled, I guess we enabled something for phishing, because it was more rules. We have probably something for potential malware, maybe malware, OneDrive malware file upload maybe, or here, email report uses malware fish. I guess those things, you can enable those things. You can create your own rules. So a whole lot of stuff you can do here. So what I did was event correlation. I just used this. But again, this is not a proper rule. If you look at what this thing is doing, I'm lost. Okay, so you have a lot of cool rules which you can just have here. And you can do a lot of cool stuff with it. Like explore, migrate, whatever. What I think I can also do, what I find weird, it's offline now, but it's just a really cool project. You can do a lot of monitoring with it, but it's pretty hard to get into, and there's a lot of premium things. For example, if I were to go to my agent policy and go into the endpoints and then the Elastic Defend, you can see here, for example, if you want to add a trusted application, for example, the calculator one. So we have this malware bazaar sample, which I want to see also, how many times it actually gets alerted, but I can't see those. You can have different policy settings like ransomware, memory threat, malicious behavior, whatever. You have to pay for these. And Windows Defender for the average user is going to be free and actually pretty solid for you, I guess, But if you compare these costs, which is about 120, I think, a month, I'm not even sure, actually. Can I buy this? Then I guess you could actually set something up like pretty cool, like your own SOC for your own home applications or whatever. But again, a whole lot of stuff. I'm just getting started, and it looks really good. They keep going offline, so I'm not sure what that is. I'm not sure. Well, I guess that was the video. So yeah.